Welcome to the Deep Dive, the show where we take a monumental career, one that has been under the microscope for, 2 decades now, and we really try to extract the most crucial lessons, the insights, and some of the surprising facts.
And today we are diving deep into the phenomenal, very complex, and intensely public life of Selena Gomez.
We're not just chronicling the trajectory of a star here. I think what we're really doing is tracing the evolution of an identity.
Yeah, exactly. Our sources track this incredible path she's been on, from being a Disney child star, the absolute epitome of a teen idol, to where she is now.
Which is an acclaimed actress, a hugely successful businesswoman.
And we have to talk about Rare Beauty, that $2.7 billion empire. Plus, she's still a consistent, creatively evolving music artist.
And I think what makes her story so unique, so compelling, is the sheer scale of the challenges she's navigated, all of it in the public eye. We're talking about someone who manages this intense global fame, who deals with chronic, severe health conditions like lupus, who openly discusses bipolar disorder.
And somehow, she translates all that vulnerability, all that intense pressure, into a cohesive and really relatable artistic brand.
So our mission today is to follow that exact thread. How does a star survive the Disney machine, transition into adulthood, handle that unprecedented media scrutiny,
and maintain relevance, not by chasing the highest, most explosive peak, but by embodying this sort of authentic consistency and purpose? We'll be using her recent, very ambitious film roles and her candid interviews as the main lenses for this transformation.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start with the essentials, the basics.
Of course.
Selena Marie Gomez was born July 22, 1992 in Grand Prairie, Texas, and she began acting at the remarkably early age of 7 on Barney and Friends.
And before we even get into the career narrative, we have to set the context of her modern influence. She holds the title of the most followed woman on Instagram.
The number is staggering, over 417 million followers as of August 2025.
Yeah, and that number isn't just a metric. It's a constant magnifying pressure chamber. It means every single choice she makes, personal or professional, becomes an instant global event.
Instantly scrutinized and debated by hundreds of millions of people. It's almost unimaginable.
It is.
Okay, let's rewind to the beginning, to the structure that built her entire platform, the Disney Channel. Her story, as we said, begins on Barney and Friends.
Right, which is where she first met her future peer and, for a time, collaborator, Demi Lovato.
That initial connection is so telling, isn't it? It shows that this foundational group of stars from that generation, they were all growing up together, competing, collaborating from a very, very young age.
For sure. Disney discovered her around age 12, and the machine moved fast. She had some brief early roles. I think a key one was playing the rival, Michaela, in Hannah Montana.
Which is a sign, right? She was immediately being positioned in relation to Miley Cyrus, who was already the network's biggest star at that point.
Absolutely. But the true career-defining moment, the role that really transformed her from a talented kid into a globally recognized star, that was Alice Lusso in Wizards of Waverly Place.
That series debuted in 2007 and ran all the way through 2012.
And that show was immensely important for Disney. It wasn't just another hit. It really defined the entire post-High School Musical era for them.
Our sources emphasize that the series finale film drew remarkably high viewership. It set new records for the network.
It did. And that performance immediately elevated her to the same commercial tier as her predecessor, Miley Cyrus. It proved she could carry a massive flagship franchise on her own shoulders.
And it's so important to remember that during this whole period, she was building these parallel careers. She wasn't just Alex Russo.
No, not at all.
She was starring in Disney Channel original movies like Another Cinderella Story and Princess Protection Program, and crucially, she began moving into mainstream family cinema.
Right, with films like Ramona and Beezus in 2010 and then Monte Carlo in 2011.
That strategic movement outside the pure Disney bubble, even in her early teens, was so critical.
It signaled an intention, I think. An intention not to be confined to just the children's network.
Yeah.
And what's even more compelling was her immediate commitment to philanthropy.
Yes, in 2009, she becomes the youngest UNICEF ambassador in history at age 17.
17.
Why is that particular detail so important to her overall narrative?
Well, because it's such an early, conscious decision to craft a positive public image. It separated her from the typical tabloid drama that so often engulfs teen stars. This early association with UNICEF really helped solidify her image as responsible, as philanthropic, and as someone focused on using her platform for good.
Yep.
That became a narrative cornerstone she still relies on heavily today with her mental health advocacy.
Okay, let's transition into her music career. She signs with Hollywood Records in 2008 and forms the band Selena Gomez and the Scene.
And this wasn't just some brief experiment.
Not at all. They were serious. They put out 3 full albums, Kiss and Tell, A Year Without Rain, and When the Sun Goes Down.
Right. And this musical period is often overlooked, I think, in favor of her later solo work. But it was absolutely essential in establishing her commercial viability as a musician, not just an actress who happens to sing.
Yeah, the band wasn't making, revolutionary music, but it was polished, it was accessible dance pop, and it worked.
It really worked. They achieved genuine, multi-platinum commercial success.
Tracks like Who says in 2011 sold around 3 million units. Love You Like a Love Song sold 4 million.
And those figures prove that she had the star power and the accessible sound that the mainstream pop machine requires.
But the Disney system, by its very design, has a shelf life, doesn't it?
It does. So by early 2012, she announced the band was taking a hiatus, and she stated her intention was to return to acting. But I think the need to continue her musical development was clear.
So in 2013, we get her true solo debut, Stars Dance.
And this album marked her first major sonic pivot. She was embracing the then-dominant EDM and electropop styles, the stuff popularized by acts like David Guetta and Zedd.
And it was a huge commercial validation of her solo brand. The album hit #1 on the Billboard charts.
It proved that the name Selena Gomez alone could move units and dominate the pop landscape. It confirmed that the success of the Scene was really driven by her star power, not just the band structure.
Which was a critical step, I'd imagine, toward creative self-control.
Absolutely.
So now we're entering the era where she truly takes the reins and begins to build this image of an adult artist. The key starting point here is her 2014 decision to leave Hollywood Records and move to Interscope.
Yeah, and that label change is almost always a signal of intent for an artist.
Right.
She wanted a more mature sound, and Interscope delivered. Her 2015 album, Revival, was critically received so much better than her previous work.
The sound itself shifted, right. It was more of a sleek, sophisticated dance pop.
Mixed with elements of R&B. It was a conscious effort to shed the last vestiges of that bubblegum pop identity.
The word consistency keeps coming up in our sources when discussing this period, and it's fascinating to look at her alongside her Disney contemporaries, Miley Cyrus, Demi Lovato, the Jonas Brothers.
Yes.
Our sources posit that while Miley achieved these stratospheric, artistic, and commercial peaks, Selena maintained a steadier, more reliable mainstream success than pretty much anyone else from that group.
And this is where we really need to dive deeper into the strategic choices being made. When Miley made her big pivot, the Bangers era, it was defined by shock, by cultural risk, and this huge separation from her past.
And later on, with projects like the experimental Dead Pets, she embraced artistic risk, but almost at the expense of mainstream commercial consistency.
Exactly. And Demi, tragically, struggled so publicly with intense personal health issues that it just interrupted her professional flow.
But Selena, she chose the middle road.
She did. The Revival era sound was calculated, it was accessible, it was commercially safe, but it was mature enough to satisfy the critics. It was a clear choice for long-term commercial longevity over the sharp peaks and valleys her peers experienced by taking those bigger artistic gambles.
And she also used her massive social media presence and her high-profile personal relationships.
Oh, for sure. The continuous Justin Bieber saga, that unwavering friendship with Taylor Swift.
It all helped maintain her mainstream media relevance, ensuring she was always in the conversation, even during the times between major music releases.
And the numbers back this up significantly. Post-2013, the deep analysis shows that Selena consistently generated more charting hits and actually outsold Miley Cyrus during that specific period. She racked up 11 hits.
And this all culminates in that 2018 international mega hit, Taki Taki.
Taki Taki is such a prime example of global dominance. It wasn't just a hit in the U.S.
Not at all.
Its inclusion of Latin and global artists, paired with that infectious reggaeton beat, made it a monster hit globally, especially in non-Western markets.
This speaks to her immense popularity in places like India, Korea, and Latin America, where I think her background really resonated powerfully with those diverse audiences.
Absolutely, and that success continued right through the end of the decade. By 2020, you get the Rare album, which really cemented her pivot toward purposeful art.
Lyrically, this was all about self-empowerment and self-acceptance.
Yeah, and this album, which became her third consecutive #1 on the Billboard 200, wasn't just commercially successful, it was conceptually crucial for her brand.
Oh, so.
Well, it directly reflected the emotional struggles she had been navigating, the lupus, the bipolar diagnosis, and it transformed those personal challenges into relatable, aspirational material for her fans. This was self-knowledge directly shaping her artistic output.
And that theme of self-acceptance took this really beautiful and profound cultural turn in 2021 with the release of her first ever Spanish language project, the EP Revelation.
This was so much more than just a simple genre experiment.
Mm-hmm.
This was a deeply personal artistic endeavor, directly linking her Mexican-American identity to her creative work. The music itself is this complex, modern blend of reggaeton, electropop, Latin pop, R&B, and urbano elements.
And she made it really clear that embracing her heritage through this work was, and I'm quoting here, a source of healing for her.
Which, given the complexities she faced growing up in a predominantly English-speaking industry while holding a Mexican-American heritage, that was a huge statement of belonging.
And our sources confirm the sincerity of the project. Revelation is noted as her best-reviewed project to date on Metacritic.
And when an artist takes a personal risk like that, and the critics reward the sincerity and the quality, it validates those creative choices made outside the typical pop formula. This EP really affirmed her ability to connect with her roots while still maintaining global artistic relevance.
And her musical journey continues to flow, seamlessly blending her creative and her personal lives. The most recent major project noted in our sources is the collaboration album, I Said I Love You First.
Released in March 2025 with Benny Blanco.
Right, who is now her partner and eventual husband. Their creative relationship seems to mirror her personal stability.
It really does. The album is described as blending pop, dance pop, and pop rock. So again, choosing accessible but mature genres. This latest chapter just demonstrates that the trajectory of her career is now defined by her inner stability, which she's openly sharing through her art.
We have to pivot now to her acting career, which has recently shifted so dramatically. I mean, while she had massive success as Alex Russo, her adult ambition has been crystal clear. She wants roles that actively challenge her.
She articulated this desire quite explicitly. She said she seeks roles where she needs help, where the character is way outside her comfort zone, and where she can demonstrate a side of herself that no one has seen before.
That's the ambition of a performer who's looking for credibility far beyond her youthful image.
Exactly.
And we saw early indications of this pivot, didn't we? Moving from family fare to these challenging independent films. I mean, you think of Spring Breakers in 2012.
That was a wild, controversial art house film from Harmony Korine. A total departure.
She also made these smart cameo choices, appearing in the Oscar-nominated ensemble film The Big Short in 2015, and other roles like The Fundamentals of Caring in 2016.
Those were crucial steps. They allowed her to dip her toes into serious dramatic waters without having to carry the entire weight of the box office on her own.
But the definitive success story of her acting career renaissance has to be the Hulu series, Only Murders in the Building.
Oh, absolutely. OMITB, which began in 2021.
This was her first major return to series television since Wizards, and it has been a phenomenal career-defining hit for her.
Her role as Mabel Mora, starring opposite comedy legends Steve Martin and Martin Short, instantly elevated her status as a serious actor.
The acclaim has been enormous. She's earned multiple nominations, Golden Globes, Emmy nominations as a producer on the series, and she secured a People's Choice Award.
And Steve Martin's praise, calling her portrayal rich and adult, that speaks volumes. OMITB proved that the star quality she honed during her youth could translate seamlessly into these complex, comedic adult roles. It gave her the credibility she was craving.
And while OMITB gave her that critical acclaim, another side project further cemented her relatability.
Selena plus Chef.
Exactly. The HBO Max, now just Max, cooking show, it launched in 2020, and it just features her cooking with famous chefs from home.
This show is fascinating because it's such a brilliant branding tool.
Yeah.
It requires zero performance and maximum authenticity.
It just shows her as she is, often messy, a little chaotic in the kitchen, and genuinely learning.
She's actively trying to avoid kitchen mistakes, which is kind of a perfect metaphor for her public image. She's trying her best, but she's not perfect, and that's okay.
It really is. It provides fans with access to her personal life in a way that's lighthearted and charming, completely devoid of the heavy emotional weight that often surrounds discussions of her music or her dramatic roles.
It completes the picture of the approachable, down-to-earth star.
Okay, so if OITB solidified her standing as an actress, her latest high-profile film, the musical crime drama Amelia Perez from 2024, that represents the pinnacle of her artistic ambition.
It does. It came with a significant cost in the form of cultural scrutiny.
The success of this film has been massive internationally. It's a huge achievement. It received 5 awards at the 37th European Film Festival.
And most impressively, Gomez shared the prestigious Cannes Best Actress Award with her co-stars.
The buzz around the film is intense. It's specifically driving Oscar discussion for her performance in the Best Supporting Actress category.
But this artistic triumph was immediately coupled with some sharp, pointed criticism, particularly from established figures within the Latin community.
Right, and the key source of that critique was Eugenio Derbez, a highly respected Mexican actor known internationally. He publicly called her performance indefensible.
And he focused heavily on her Spanish fluency. Derbez's core argument, which he detailed on a podcast, was that if she didn't possess native fluency, her acting was fundamentally masked by subtitles.
Suggesting that non-Spanish-speaking viewers couldn't perceive what he felt was a flat performance.
Exactly. He implied that a deep emotional connection to the dialogue was impossible without that true fluency. And this critique goes right to the heart of her identity as an artist of Mexican descent performing a role that takes place in Mexico.
That is just immense pressure. So how does she respond to a critique that questioned her legitimacy both as an actress and as a person of Mexican heritage?
Well, her reaction was incredibly candid and, crucially, delivered directly to her fans via TikTok comments.
Not some polished PR statement.
No, not at all. She wrote, "I understand where you're coming from. I'm sorry I did the best I could with the time I was given." This response just bypassed the traditional celebrity machine and went straight to a place of vulnerability and apology.
And she explained the nuance of the language barrier, which is a story that's so familiar to many Mexican Americans and other immigrant descendants.
She did. She clarified that she was once fluent as a child, but lost the ability to speak it easily after she started working in English-dominant Hollywood from age 7 onward. She can fully understand the language, but the conversational fluency is gone.
She didn't dismiss the challenge, though. She embraced the commitment required for the role.
Absolutely. She took 6 months of intensive Spanish classes specifically for the role of Jessie Del Monte, who is an American woman living in Mexico married to a cartel leader. Her dedication shows her determination to execute these challenging, serious roles, even if it meant confronting her own linguistic shortcomings.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, Derbez's critique wasn't solely about Selena Gomez, was it?
No, it opened up a larger and I think necessary discussion about representation and authenticity in international filmmaking.
How so?
Well, Derbez also raised concerns about the overall cultural understanding of the production itself. The director of the film is French, and he didn't speak English or Spanish, yet the movie is set entirely in Mexico and features critical dialogue in both languages.
Which our sources suggest raised questions about the foreign gaze. The perception that the film was appropriating a sensitive setting, the Mexican cartel landscape, without true cultural ownership or understanding from the top down.
Exactly. So Emilia Perez is simultaneously this huge artistic victory for her, the Cannes Award, the Oscar buzz, and a moment of intense cultural reckoning that forced her to defend her identity and her creative choices. It really demonstrates the high price of her artistic ambition.
And it is absolutely impossible to analyze Selena Gomez's career longevity without deeply acknowledging the personal battles she has faced.
And which she has bravely chosen to make public, creating this new identity rooted in transparency.
This chapter is profoundly difficult. Her struggles began publicly in 2015 with the revelation of her diagnosis of lupus erythematodes,
which is a chronic autoimmune disorder where the immune system attacks healthy tissue. The physical and mental toll was just immense. The symptoms led to severe depression and panic attacks, which forced her to prematurely cut her revival tour short in 2016.
That public cancellation was such a stark reminder that even global superstars are vulnerable to these debilitating chronic illnesses.
And the disease progressed rapidly. It led to the necessary 2017 kidney transplant, which was donated by her friend, Francia Risa.
And beyond the physical, her mental health struggles were also escalating. It's noted that she had already sought treatment back in 2014, spending 2 weeks at the Dawn at the Meadows facility for addiction and emotional trauma.
Then came the formal diagnosis of bipolar disorder. And what sets her apart in the pantheon of youth stars is not that she faced these issues, but that she deliberately chose to document and share them. She turned her struggle into an educational public resource.
And that decision culminated in the 2022 documentary Selena Gomez, My Mind and Me.
This documentary is arguably the single most important piece of media for understanding her current adult persona. It provided a raw 6-year look into her life.
It detailed the aftermath of the Lucas diagnosis, the mental health crises, and the often frustrating attempts to find stability.
It was directed by Alec Kashishian, who's known for creating Madonna's seminal Truth or Dare documentary, and it was released on Apple TV Plus first. The critics absolutely lauded it for its unflinching mental health transparency.
The praise was really centered on the honesty of the portrait. The New York Times specifically noted that it was an honest portrait study of stardom and mental illness.
And it offered a hopeful catharsis, not by offering easy answers, but by revealing the sustained, hard effort required to manage severe conditions.
An IndieWire review captured the essence of it perfectly, saying the film is raw and messy. It's less about achieving a perfect state of healing and more about, quote, learning to hurt in the healthiest way possible.
And that candid acknowledgement that recovery isn't linear has made her such a powerful, relatable champion for mental health advocacy.
Of course, the documentary was strategically timed with the release of the accompanying single, also titled My Mind and Me, reinforcing the message.
And that high-level public integration of her internal struggle with her external creative output is just crucial to her modern public appeal.
That transparency regarding her health connects directly to one of the most intense and relatable conversations of her adult life: body image and the relentless pressure she's faced from online body shaming.
The public criticism often showed this massive lack of understanding regarding the medical facts of her life. She had to openly explain on a TikTok live stream that her lupus medication, specifically immunosuppressants and steroids used to manage the disease, caused severe weight fluctuation, often resulting in significant water retention. It's a medical reality, it's not a question of diet or discipline. It's a common side effect for millions managing autoimmune disorders.
But what I found truly groundbreaking was her admission about the disconnect between her public performance of confidence and her private anguish. She just came out and confessed, "I lied," about her body positivity stance.
That specific confession that she would publicly tell her fans that the critics didn't matter, while privately she was crying her eyes out over the cruelty, that's a devastating insight into the immense pressure she faced to be a perfect role model.
She felt this obligation to project strength even when she was internally shattered.
And that moment of honesty completely redefined her relationship with her audience.
Her self-reflection continues to mature. Recently, at age 31, she shared this poignant reflection, contrasting old, thinner paparazzi photos with current images of herself.
Right, and she said, "I realized I will never look like this again." But she immediately followed it up with a powerful affirmation. "I'm not perfect, but I am proud to be who I am. Sometimes I forget it's okay to be me."
This commitment to imperfection is really the foundation of her immense relatability.
It is, and she consciously positions herself as approachable, explicitly stating that she is not unattainable. She acknowledged the mythical status of goddesses like Beyoncé and Adele, but affirmed, "I'm me, and I'm a little silly. I'm just happy to be your best friend."
And that defined role as an approachable public figure is crucial to understanding her success outside of entertainment.
Which brings us to Rare Beauty.
Exactly. That profound connection to self-acceptance and mental health advocacy didn't just stay in her music and documentaries. It became the bedrock of her massive business empire, Rare Beauty, which launched in 2020. This is her creative spirit extending directly into commerce.
Rare Beauty is such a fascinating case study in brand building with purpose. Its current valuation stands at over $2.7 billion.
And its success is rooted not just in her fame, but in its uncompromising focus on authenticity and its mission.
Let's delve into the mechanics of that success. The sources highlight that they used an omni-channel model selling directly and through massive partners like Sephora across North America, Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. It ensured rapid global expansion.
But the true market dominance is seen at the product level. Their hero product, the Soft Pinch Liquid Blush, is estimated to account for over a quarter of Sephora's entire blush sales.
A quarter of all blush sales. That's insane. And why is it so successful? It's not just the celebrity name. The product itself is highly pigmented, it's blendable, and crucially, it went viral on short-form video platforms like TikTok,
where its unique texture and ease of use were just endlessly demonstrated by non-celebrities.
Exactly. The brand capitalized on organic virality, by focusing on accessible application.
The marketing is brilliant. It features real people, it focuses on inclusivity, and it reinforces that core message. But the financial genius lies in the mission integration.
Right. 1% of all sales goes directly to the Rare Impact Fund, which is dedicated to supporting youth mental health services.
They weave this purpose right into the consumer experience itself, using shade names like worthy, empathy, and grateful.
This constant reinforcement ensures that the act of buying makeup is also an act of self-affirmation and social contribution. Rare Beauty just demonstrates that a business built on vulnerability and purpose can achieve incredible commercial heights. It's arguably reshaping what a modern celebrity brand should even look like.
Finally, we have to look at the trajectory of her high-profile personal life. After navigating these intense, public, and often turbulent relationships, Nick Jonas, the years-long cycle with Justin Bieber, Zed, The Weeknd, she has finally reached a clear point of personal stability.
She confirmed her relationship with musician and songwriter Benny Blanco in December 2023. And this relationship is significant because it represents a synthesis of her creative and personal worlds.
Blanco is also a key creative partner. He collaborated on her most recent album, I Said I Love You First.
And our sources confirm the culmination of this journey toward stability. We have news of her engagement in December 2024, followed by their marriage in September 2025.
This completes the overview of her current status, showing a woman who has found stability and fulfillment, both personally and professionally, after years and years of turmoil.
And this quiet, steady relationship is such a stark contrast to the high drama of her past public romances. It further emphasizes the theme of her current life, prioritizing peace, health, and a stable internal self over any external chaos.
So, what does this all mean? When we examine the entire arc of Selena Gomez's career narrative, what we see is a level of transformation defined not by a single hit or a single movie, but by the courage to own her entire messy story.
Yeah. She successfully navigated the shifts from being a product of the Disney brand to being the owner of a narrative built on vulnerability.
Her career longevity is a testament to consistency and to the power of transparent communication. She took her most debilitating personal experiences, the lupus, the bipolar disorder, the body image struggles,
And she systematically leveraged them into a cohesive, successful, and deeply meaningful body of work. And this extends from her critically acclaimed, yet culturally challenged film role in Amelia Perez to her raw documentary My Mind and Me and her billion-dollar business built on mental health advocacy.
She turned her perceived weaknesses, her health struggles, her body fluctuations, her lack of fluency in Spanish into relatable strengths.
That radical self-acceptance is the core pillar that keeps her relevant and relatable to millions globally, and it's what distinguishes her from so many of her peers.
So, we've established how Selena Gomez used the lessons from her personal struggles, that intense need for authentic self-love that led directly to Rare Beauty, to revolutionize her entire career and her public image.
So how might this model of transparent vulnerability and purpose-driven art, where business and advocacy are so deeply intertwined, change the definition of success for future generations of celebrities emerging from that intensely hyper-scrutinized spotlight of youth fame?
It suggests that true longevity may not come from flawless perfection, but from embracing and maybe even monetizing one's own imperfection.